Dzień dobry, cześć, and hello. Welcome, guys, to the Polskast episode 12. I'm here with my friend Phil, co-host. How you doing?
I'm good, Trev. Unfortunately,
I haven't done this intro in a little while.
I know,
so
right?
I'm a little rusty.
This is also the first episode where I'm not sporting some kind of Polish shirt. I had to go with simply.
You're not dressed up.
No, Arsenal.
I think last time.
That's it.
Yeah.
We're
You're
back.
not dressed up either.
We're all slacking up. We're all slacking this time. So
Yeah, I'm wearing a hoodie. I should be laying down on a bed, though, I think.
true. That is how we talk normally. The good news is I do have another shirt on the way from Poland, so there will be one coming. My
Limited
wife's
edition, huh?
one of my wife's cousins. So when I was leaving Poland, there's a Yaga shop. At least there's supposed to be one right next to the train station. So we got there a little early, and I was like, okay, I'm going to run over there and get this year's jersey because I haven't bought a Yaga jersey like in 3 or 4 years. And I ran over to where it all is. My wife and daughter were sitting with the suitcases on the train track, and
it was closed.
And I just couldn't find it. I saw there was a huge sign there saying Yaga Sklep, but I couldn't find the store itself. And my wife calls me. She's like, "Let's go. The train's coming. The train's here. Get back over here." And I ran back. So
That sucks.
now one of her cousins is coming here in a couple weeks, and so I messaged him. I'm like, "Hey, go pick me up a jersey and bring it over here." So he just texted me this morning that he bought it. So.
Has anyone commented on, like, for example, the football match video that you had where, like, you were showing the game and all that? Did anyone comment saying, like, I hate that team, they suck? Like,
No.
was there any team hate at all?
No,
or?
it was all pretty
what's interesting?
civilized on that one.
What's interesting is I haven't even met a football fan
really?
at all here. Yeah, for like extra class, right? That's the league.
Extra
Yeah.
class.
Extra class. Yeah, I have not met a single fan. Every single person I ever talked to about football here, there was like, "Oh, I don't like it. Poland's not good, and we don't bring respect." Blah blah blah. But I haven't met any fan.
Most of my wife's family watches it and they go to matches. But I think
Really?
Poland in general gets behind it when the national team is playing, even though
That's true.
there's always that big hope at the beginning, right? Because we have
Yeah.
Lewandowski. Everything must be great. He's one of the greatest
Yeah.
players in the world, right? But unfortunately,
Right.
usually the rest of the team isn't as up to his level, and something bad.
Yeah.
There's usually disappointment.
Did you see the England game?
I did. Yeah.
That was such a good game.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was shocked actually
Yeah.
at how well Poland did.
Yeah,
I think everyone was thinking it was just going to be a bloodbath, right?
Right. But one of those
they
times,
did a
actually,
good job.
it
They
kind of
held
worked
their
out. It's tough for us Americans to understand every once in a while. The tie is the exciting result, but yeah, definitely scoring the way they did, in the last minute or whatever, it was very exciting.
Yeah. And if anyone also knows how to get a ticket, please tell me how, because so right as they opened up, like, tickets for sale and stuff like that, the stadium in Warsaw, Warszawa, they were all sold out instantly. And my theory is that there's all of these like almost sketchy looking websites. I don't know if they're actually sketchy, but they're like third party ticket resellers, right? And I think that they are just going straight to the stadium, like right at the website launch, buying all of them and then reselling them on their own ticket websites. I have no clue if that's true at all, but that's just my theory. And yeah, if anyone knows how to get a ticket, just tell me, because I can't. They're all just sold out.
Like everything else in Poland, it's not what you know, it's who you know. So you got to know the right people.
That's right. Right. So I don't know. I don't know the right people.
I think it's similar to in America right now. It's like impossible to buy a piece of electronic because every time a new electronic comes out, PlayStation, Xbox, video cards, whatever, the scalpers immediately come in and take them all in and then resell them on eBay.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I guess they set up like bots to do that too, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'm trying to go to a game, and if anything, I'm gonna go to a local, like I think it's like the A2 league or something like that. I don't know, but I'm gonna try to go to that here. It's kind of a big thing. Actually, people probably know of it. Motor Lublin. Yeah, I want to go to one of those.
Nice.
See what it's like.
When does that season run? Is it?
It's going now. I think it's going now, and I think it ends like I'm not even gonna make an assumption because actually I don't know what I'm talking about right now.
Like I always find it interesting, you know, when I first started paying attention to soccer in Europe, that it runs through winter, right? And it goes from like fall into spring, and they don't actually play in the summer. Where, you know, it's like the complete opposite here when we were kids playing soccer, right? We'd start like in the summer and we'd go into the fall and everything like that. Nobody's playing in the winter around here. So.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's probably something like that.
That should be an interesting match to go. You should go to a match in the winter in Poland, a soccer match.
Yeah, but then it would kind of I don't know if that would be fun though. I mean, because you can't drink. You can't get warmed up, you know. I guess you just have to pre-drink.
You got to sit there with the real fans singing and beating the drums and everything like that.
With the face paint.
And the face paint, yeah.
Yeah. And then if anyone, probably not that many people know this, but Lublin has a really good speedway team here. And so we were trying to go to that because they have a championship, I believe in the next like weekend or two, as of the recording of this video.
Who knows when it'll be
they're
live.
Playing against, right. They're playing against Wrocław, I believe. And we tried to buy tickets. Couldn't. Instantly, as 8 p.m., the website launched and like they were, you know, allowing ticket sales. Instantly, we went on, could not buy any. Could not get it.
That sucks. You know, we actually have something related here. We keep talking about the tickets being sold immediately, but Polish related here. And that since coronavirus has started, they have like a similar kind of webpage to do business with the consulate, Polish consulate in New York City. Where, like, for example, my wife and daughter had to go there to renew their passports. And her cousin has had to do his, also him and his family. And same thing, at 8 o'clock at night, website goes up with all the slots that are available for like in 2 weeks, the day exactly 2 weeks in the future. And you got to try to make an appointment. And same thing, 8 o'clock goes up and within like 20 seconds, all the slots are gone. I have no idea why Polish people need to do so much business at the consulate right now, but it's been going on like this for months. It's crazy. It took my wife's cousin a good 2 to 3 weeks of trying every night, like at 8 o'clock, to actually get an appointment to renew his passport.
And if anyone also can answer this question, maybe you know, I don't know. When I was going to buy a ticket for the Poland-England match, which I failed to do so, it said on there you had to enter in your PESEL number, and I'm curious as to why that's a thing. And I even went on to some other like third-party ticket sites, and most of them all like you had to put in your PESEL number.
That might be related to, remember we talked about previously that they want to confirm the identities of everybody at the match.
For a game?
Like I said, like for me to go to that match in Jagiellonian Stadium, I needed to have a fan. I don't have a PESEL number, obviously, so I needed to have a fan card with a number on it, and I needed that to buy the ticket and go to the match. Like I had to put in the number to buy the ticket. I had to show the card at the stadium to get into the match. So I think it's more about confirming the identities of everybody that's there.
Is it because of like hooligans in the past, or
you know? It's not always the safest place to be at a soccer match. Stuff happens once in a while. I mean, I don't want to say that's just Poland. That's, you know, all of soccer matches. But you know,
okay, yeah.
I believe it has something to do with that. Yeah, let's segue gracefully to something else.
Gracefully.
So another thought that's been coming to my head, and actually we had a conversation about this in the chat with JT. So your name is Trevor in English. What do people call you in Poland? Do you have a Polish name?
Tadeusz.
Tadeusz.
I mean, like, yeah. I mean, around my girlfriend's family, they would they would say Tadeusz.
Okay.
Or they would just say Trevor.
Trevor. Okay. So
Yeah.
take the English name and throw some Polish accent on it, basically. Polish
Yeah,
pronunciation.
I've even heard Tajik before,
Okay.
which is a funny one. It's funny to me.
So
But,
yeah. So how many different versions of it have you heard of Tadeusz?
like a couple.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know the exact number, but definitely a few. Right.
And do you, because this is one of the things that was fascinating to me at the very beginning was finding out about Polish nicknames and how many there are. Do you
Yeah.
do you refer to your girlfriend by her nickname or just by her full name or dude? I know I've heard you say before when we.
I do say dude actually a lot. I think recently I've been trying to like analyze my speech, and I've been saying dude a lot,
Yeah.
and I've also been saying like a lot. So
Okay.
it's like just right there.
Yeah.
I just said it. And so I'm talking like a valley girl from California. I hate it right now. I'm trying to get rid of like as a filler word, but yeah, I say dude and Ada. That's it.
Okay, yeah. So one of the things that was very interesting to me when I first met my wife. So my wife's name is Joanna in English, Joanna in Polish, but her nickname is Asha, and I had no idea. Like when she first told me, I'm like, what in the world does Asha have to do with Joanna? You know. And then of course there's the Asha, Ashu. She does not like Ashka. You can't use that one.
Why not?
She just doesn't like the way it sounds. It's funny. She doesn't like the way it sounds when somebody's calling her that. But she has other friends named Joanna, and she will call them Ashka. And I'm like, if you don't like it on you, why do you use it on somebody else? She's like, they don't care. So, so then, and then in my case, I had to get used to nicknames. So, and one thing as the conversation we were having, I noticed there is definitely a pattern to how my wife uses nicknames with me. So obviously there's, my name's Phil, so Philippe, obviously. So there's a few things. If she wants something, right? Or she wants me to, set the table or go do something, it's Filipku or Filushu, right? I think if she's around my parents, she'll just say Philippe, right? Keep it normal. If she's the one of the other ones, if she's at work and she knows that English speakers are listening, she'll just say Phil.
Yeah.
She's like, hello, Phil. And I'm like, that is the strangest one for me because that one happens the least often.
Yeah.
All of a sudden I pick up the phone. She's like, hello, Phil. And I'm like, hello, Joanna. It's just very strange. The other one that's obvious is when I've said something, and I've gone a little too far or something like that, or I'm on the verge of being in trouble, then it's Philippe, like it's like that little
Philippe.
yeah, a little more stern, and Philippe, Uvaga.
Does she use your middle name? Like, so for viewers that maybe don't know, like in the US, if your parents, for example, are mad at you, they'll use your full name. So it's like ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Right. Nope, she does not use my name. She has no middle name. She doesn't use my middle name. So
No.
that's what I find interesting because she does use it with our daughter, right? Our daughter's name is Zofia.
Oh, does she?
Yeah, and so my daughter hates like her full name. She never wants it. If anybody calls her Zofia, she's like, nope, stop. It's always Zosha, right? But then it's Zoshu, Zoshku, all these things. But yeah, when she's in trouble, my wife's like Zoshka, like that. So like you said, when we were kids, it was complete full name, first name, middle name, last name, right? When you were outside playing with your friends and your mother yelled the full name from the house, you knew you were in trouble
It's
at that
serious.
point.
Yeah.
So it's interesting the difference between Poland and America, where we get the full name, and here it's the nickname that that determines what kind of conversation this is about to be.
Do your parents? This is kind of off of the question and topic, but do your parents know any words in Polish? I'm curious.
They know like the.
And have they ever been to Poland?
They went to Poland for my wedding.
Okay.
They know the obvious. Cześć, do widzenia, dziękuję. That's about it. Usually, you can always tell like when it's our anniversary or my birthday or something like that, the parents send a text message. You can tell they've typed something into Google Translate and then sent that over. But I appreciate that little bit of effort. They're not just throwing in some English. Yeah, I know for our anniversary this year, my father sent over this big long message in obviously Google translated, but
Right.
Yeah, he makes an effort, so I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So yeah, they were there that one time. It's like
For the wedding.
my mom does. We grew up in a small town. My mom doesn't really like to travel that much. My dad's the more adventurous one, and I was just kind of like, I wanted them to go there. I wanted them to see it. I thought they would really like it. So I was just kind of like, okay, my wedding is in Poland now. Now you have to go, right? You have no choice in the matter.
Right.
So yeah. they had a good time. They were in Białystok, purely Białystok, for like a week for the wedding, and we took them around some stuff as much as we could while we were doing our wedding.
Yeah, my dad might come eventually, and maybe I'll vlog that.
Yeah, definitely.
That would be hilarious.
Yeah,
to vlog that. He's a funny guy.
So I wonder what your father will find strange about Poland, and what he'll find, similar to how it is in America about Poland, right?
That would make a good podcast episode at the tail end of the trip.
That he
comes here. That would be a cool
Trev
podcast.
Papa Trev on the podcast.
We might have to get him on the podcast.
I think one thing that might help, I think media in general, there's a lot of American English media in this country. Not in this, in that country. I forgot I'm not in Poland anymore.
Hey, your house is like mini Poland.
Right,
okay?
Right. Like, it always bothered me when I first get to Poland. And like a lot of times when we first get to Poland, you got to hop in a cab to get to the train or get to the bus or whatever. And the guys, got the radio going. And you're like, all right, I'm in Poland. Let's do this. And they turn on the radio and it's some 80s American song. And you're like, God.
Yeah. Yeah. You're like, not there yet.
Yeah, no. I do.
Same thing with billboards, advertisements on TV. Like, it's in, a lot of it is in English, definitely.
Yeah. I know here when I'm, when you're trying to just like, okay, I'm going to sit down and listen to some Polish for a while I'm doing this just to, pick up the vocabulary and whatever. I use Open FM to listen to music. And if I try to listen to any of the standard stations, a lot of it's like, most of it's English songs. There's a few Polish songs.
Right.
They have a couple stations on there, like Tylko Polskie Przeboje is one of them. And so, I stick to those stations. I'm like, I only want Polish songs right now. It's limited, and you end up hearing the same songs a lot, but at least they're all in Polish in that case.
Right. Yeah. The other day I was in a Bolt, and I sent you a video, and in that video they were playing one of those songs from the '80s. I can sing it. I don't know the lyrics of it though, but or the title of the song name, and I sent you that video also because it's one of the first Bolt cab rides I've ever had where the song was in Polish. And I've been in plenty of Bolt rides at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, it's weird.
Yeah.
Definitely weird.
Definitely. And even on TV, there's a lot of like American shows. Like I think we mentioned my first trip there, Jersey Shore was on, but I didn't realize at that time how many American shows are on Polish TV with the Lektor doing his thing.
I was watching a show. I'm not going to name the name because it was just such a trashy show. And I'm not proud to be watching it, honestly. It was like a guilty pleasure type of show. And anyways, the one lady, the host, it was getting annoying. Every other sentence, she would use about like 2 words in English at like the end or before. And I think she was like from Canada or something. Like she was born there, but then she moved to Poland when she was a kid or something. And like, I don't know if she was just trying to flex her English on others or like what the deal was, but it was just really annoying. And it just, I don't know. I hate it when people do that.
Yeah.
I hate that.
I don't know if speaking of trashy TV that's on, I think it was in Poland we watched this. Have you seen, there's like a Real Housewives of like, Poland, like I don't know the same one, but it's the equivalent of like the Real Housewives of whatever show that we have here. but it's one about Polish women who live in America, who live or are married to like rich American people.
I've seen it.
And
Yeah,
like,
I've seen it.
and they've been in America so long, and their Polish is garbage. Even as a Polish learner, I'm like, oh my god, how are you getting messing this up
Yeah.
so bad? You know?
How does that happen though to your native language though? Because don't you think that they would be calling, for example, their parents, their family members, abroad, or are they just completely eradicating it from their minds and they're just getting rid of it entirely? It's just
I
it's
know.
weird.
I definitely know some people. We've talked about the previously, like when past generations would come here, right? They just try to Americanize themselves as much as they could to like fit in. They didn't want to stick
Right.
out. But I don't think it happens as much anymore. But I know that it still does happen. Like I've met some people here that are my age, even a little bit younger, and the girl. I knew about the girl before my wife moved here, and I was like, oh, she's Polish. Okay, I'll take my wife to meet with her. They have something in common, and she just had zero interest in anything Polish. I think the only time she speaks Polish is when she sees my wife. And she kind of does it because my wife's speaking to her in Polish, and she feels, like she has to or something like that,
Yeah.
So I mean, there's just some people like that. Some people, I think it's, I think eventually, if I moved to Poland in general, I would try hard, to be Polish and speak Polish and things like that, and try to fit in with the culture. Maybe people just simply, they grew up, even though they grew up in Poland, they identify themselves more with American culture, and then they.
Right.
And but it's definitely, I find it strange as well. As somebody who's not completely mastered a second language yet, I find it strange how you could butcher your native language so
First one.
badly.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Does your, for example, wife comment on that and she's like, "Wow, their Polish sucks," or is that from you because you hear their accent or their words that they're saying?
I'll say something like, I'll be like, man, I can't believe they're talking like this. This sounds horrible. And she's just kind of like, stop watching, stop listening, stop. She's like, they're speaking horrible. She's more like, she doesn't want me to pick up any of the bad habits that they're displaying.
Right. Right.
Right.
Yeah, but I've seen that show, and I believe my girlfriend commented saying that their Polish is like really bad.
Yeah. Like I've definitely heard Polish learners that are better than there. Not even fluent Polish learners that are better than that.
Right. Right.
So
yeah, that's beyond me. It's a bit crazy. Speaking of, being in another country and languages and all that, being here in Poland. Do you remember I told you that, I don't know if we talked about it on the podcast or not. I'm starting to forget all of that, but
right.
I mentioned that even if you're in the country, it still doesn't mean that you're gonna like explode in growth, with the language. Yes, it's gonna be helpful, but I still don't think it's like the end thing. Because, for example, my job, it's all in English, all remote, just at home, for example. And so in order for me to learn Polish, I still have to like get out of the box,
Right.
I have to I don't know, experience things and do things as well, just to like get out and like do something, because like I said, everything, all my meetings, everything, my boss, it's all in English, so it's like.
And like you've previously mentioned, you speak to your girlfriend in English. You speak to her, your future in-laws in English as well? No, in Polish?
Yeah.
Okay. So you have a little bit.
Yeah.
But not as much as it would be. Like you set up this little environment, like you said, little bubble.
Right.
Like that, I don't think it's that uncommon. I think a lot of expats, that happens to them, right? Yeah. They even here, right? That's how communities formed in America, right?
Right.
Oh, this is where the Polish people are? Okay, we're going to hang out in this community, right? I've been reading Dave from America's book, and he was saying the same thing. When they moved here, they lived in a big Polish community, and he had no clue about what real Americans were until he like went to school or something like that,
Yeah, and that's like this one guy I used to talk to, he lived in London for like, it was something like 8 or 10 years. and we were talking because he wanted to learn Polish and stuff, or English, and I mean his English level was like less than A1,
Right.
and he was living in England. So for sure, like, I mean, it's definitely, it's an easy thing to do, is live in that country. And, you know, I don't know. I was going to say it could be hard to learn the language, but I mean, at the same time, I'm still pushing myself to learn it. So if that makes any sense.
No, like we were, just talking about with like the Polish media, you can like, it's an opportunity to make sure you're getting that input that you can. Like when you're at the gym, if you're listening to Polish music, or in the evening when you're sitting around with your girlfriend, you can watch Polish TV or Polish films or whatever. Right?
We just got a subscription to TVN, and there's this show, I think it's called Chwilka.
Okay.
Chwilka. Have you seen it?
No.
It's this lady who's like a lawyer, and it's good. It's a good show. So we just watched like the first episode on there. I think we're gonna start watching it.
Nice.
Mostly daily.
So did you watch anything before you went to Poland? Like, what shows were you aware of before you went to Poland?
So, okay, you mean before the first trip?
No, like once you had an interest in Poland, let's say.
Okay. Well, my girlfriend definitely, she showed me Killer, because that's the favorite of her household and all of that. So Killer, Jin Świra, those were definitely the first two I ever saw. And then what else? Ojciec Mateusz. I mean, I've seen some of those.
Yeah.
Like,
now, when you were watching those movies, I'm sure it was like you're just getting it explained to you the entire time what was going on.
well, okay, so she was so into me watching it, but she made sure whenever she bought the DVDs that it had English subtitles.
Okay.
Like, she was, so set on that. It's like, before when we used to walk into a restaurant and she would like specifically ask them for an English menu, English this,
right.
and all that. But like, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was in English.
Did you find any of the humor was lost on you being an American?
Yeah, some of the problems with that is that comedy, sometimes it just doesn't translate, for one. Like, I was watching a stand-up show on YouTube, for example, a Polish one, and like, this was a long time ago. I had English subtitles on because I didn't even know what he was saying, and it just, even in the translation, it just, it didn't make sense. It wasn't funny. But I think some of the certain circumstances, or maybe the way they were saying it, like, for example, in Killer, some of the way they pronounce words are just really funny.
That seems to be a big thing. I noticed this last trip that people find it when people say something and then rhyme it somehow, like it's hilarious to Polish people or whatever,
Really?
Yeah, like I know, like, somebody will say something like a quick comeback or whatever, and it rhymes with whatever you just said, and like people find that hilarious, and I was like, okay. The biggest thing, though, that I think my wife will crack up, and I'm just like, it's kind of like lost on me, is when we're watching these shows or films that deal with communist times, right? And they're kind of showing in a humorous way how things were back then, right? Yeah. And she's cracking up, and I'm just like, I don't know. I didn't live through those times, so it's, there's like that TV show, Apartamente or something like that. It's about like, a bunch of people living in a block, and she's dying laughing on some of those things, and I was like, okay, I'm like, I didn't grow up in this kind of environment, so it's, I don't see what's so funny about it, right? Comedy, definitely, like you said, it's one of those things. It's hard to translate, and because it depends on the group of people who are specifically watching it.
I was just watching Killer actually this past weekend, and it made me laugh. I mean, it's like, it's funny, it's good, but yeah, I don't know where I was going with that, but
I think so. What did you think of that Jen Świera?
Very good. Like it was cool because my girlfriend was trying to explain like this is kind of the epitome of a pole.
Yeah.
It's like, you know,
Hey,
this is what a pole is like.
have you watched it recently, or did you only watch it at the beginning?
So it was on TV the other night, and
Uh-huh.
I watched like the part from when they're in the train,
Uh-huh.
and then he's sitting down, and then like there's like a bunch. So he goes into an empty train compartment room because he's about to go on a train ride.
Right.
He's like, oh, it's I'm translating, but he's like,
Uh-huh.
oh, it's empty, you know, just by myself. He goes in there, and then next thing you know, the nuns
Yep.
come in, and it's like all of these nuns, and then I think there's another one. He jumps into another room, and it's just like someone starts eating annoyingly, and then he goes into another one, and then it's like a bunch of young girls, and they're like mega extra super and stuff like that. Yeah, and then he goes to the beach after that. But yeah, I watched like a few scenes because it was on TV briefly.
I'd say so. We watched that one again. You know, like you. My wife, when she came to America, she came with a boatload of DVDs, and once I figured out how to watch them in America, you know, we went through them. But now specifically Gen Sphere, like I watched it maybe like a month ago, and now that I know Poles a lot better, know their personalities, their quirks, and everything like that, I find that movie hilarious now. Like where I don't think I probably didn't find it that funny when I first watched it because I didn't really know that much, but now I find it's hilarious. I'm like, yes, this captures the essence of a Pole. You know?
Right. Yeah, it's like this guy and his like miserable life, basically.
Yeah, and just how he explains everything. I'm like, I feel like I've heard my wife say like half the things he's said. You know. Yeah,
that's right. He does like. There's parts where he's kind of saying it to like himself, like
like half the movie's like an internal monologue kind of thing.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah. So I remember
like everything is calculated and
yeah. So I remember so when my wife first moved here, you know, we have in America we have international packages on our TV subscriptions
on your TV and stuff,
right? So like Spanish, you can get like an extra 20 channels, you know. French, you can get a bunch of channels. So I looked and I'm like, okay, my wife's moving here, she's from Poland, maybe I can do something to make her a little bit more comfortable here. So I'm like, do they have a Polish package? They did have a Polish package. It was one channel, and it was TVP Polonia. So, you know, not a bad channel they have, but it was funny that was the only one that they had. So I got it for her. I'm like, okay, here's the Polish channel. You know, you can watch it. I kind of didn't really pay attention at the beginning. I was in the room while she was watching her shows, basically, you know. And so the first few shows she was watching was like Piękni, Młodzi, and Rancho, right?
So that's a show actually I'm kind of in the middle of watching on Netflix. That and
Rancho.
the Roast. But did she like immediately switch to that channel, or was she like, I'm trying to immerse myself, I'm in the US, I'm in America, I want to watch American TV, or was she actually reverting back to Polish TV?
So usually it was definitely like we had American TV on. I mean, like I think I watched a lot more sports back then, right? Because I was, you know, girl moving in, you get rid of the men habits slowly as they move in, right? So I was like, you know, every Sunday I was watching football still at that point or whatever. But then like it came to the evening and she sat down, she wanted to watch a show, and it was she wanted to watch a Polish show. So he said that the first thing that happened on that she was watching it, and she was watching Piękni, Młodzi, and I had no. So two of the characters on the shows they're twins, and I had no clue that they're twins, right? So you see this one guy, and he's, you know, kissing, flirting with this one girl, and then immediately the next scene, what looks like the exact same guy is doing something with, you know, a different girl. And so I turned to my wife, I'm like, this guy's a real jerk, you know? He's like sleeping around with all the women. And she's like, no, they're twins, right? They're brothers. And I'm like, all right. So that was like my first experience at Piękni, Młodzi. And then immediately, back then it was like, Piękni, Młodzi was on, and immediately after Rancho was on. So in that show, in the show, there's two brothers, the priest and the mayor of the town, right? And they're twins in the show, right? So then that show came on, and I turn up, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? I'm like, is every twin in Poland an actor? You know, I'm like, how do you have so many twins on the show? And she's like, no. She's like, in this case, that's the same actor. They just they throw a mustache on to play the other part. So these are the kind of things that caught my attention in the beginning and slowly got me watching Polish TV.
Jak Miłosz. I mean, how many episodes do they have?
Oh, it's like 16, 17, even maybe 1,800 at this point.
Yeah, see, I guess I'm into shows that are like start and stuff like that. And I just don't know where you start.
Right. That one, like I said, the thing about that one is that's like, that's a soap opera, right? My wife, that's her show. And
oh yeah.
I started watching it, and man, the thing about that show is you'll go like 10 episodes where just like god awful, numbingly boring because nothing is happening, right?
Right.
And then all of a sudden something will happen, and whatever happens is so interesting. You're like, oh my god, I need to see the resolution of that. But now you got to sit through another 10 mind-numbingly boring episodes before you get to the conclusion of what that thing is, right? They know exactly how to give you enough good material to keep you watching, basically.
To get to the next one,
Right.
They always just end it, and then it's like, what? I have to go to the next one.
But
have you seen Roist on Netflix?
No, I gotta get on
God.
Netflix. I know there's a lot of Polish material on there. I haven't really used it that much.
The cinematography for Roist, or English, The Meyer, so good. So good. I mean, I'm like shocked when I'm watching it how like good the quality is.
Right. Polish films in general have gotten a lot better than they used to be.
Yeah, and this one, I think it's like a show about this like news guy, editor for stories and stuff like that for the newspaper in the 80s and stuff, and it's interesting. It's really good. Shockingly good at actually how the quality is, to be honest. So, and then when it comes to like, for example, if you're watching a English movie and there's the Lektor on the, translating it, that's a whole nother topic in itself. And I think you were telling me a bit earlier today that one of them died.
Yeah, I think so. I've seen a video on YouTube. I think if you type in like Lektor or whatever on YouTube, you'll see a video, an interview with there's like 3 really famous ones. There's 2 men and a woman. And the oldest one.
It always does sound like it's that one guy that does it, right?
Yeah. So I think the guy who passed away, he did a lot of older shows, because when I was listening to that interview with the 3 and I was listening to their voices, there was like an older guy, and then there was like a guy maybe like my age, and then there was a woman probably around the same age. And the younger guy, he's the voice that I've got accustomed to hearing on Polish TV these days. The older man, I've definitely heard his voice, but I think it was on older films.
I must have really only heard the younger guy.
After we're done, I'll send you the link to the 3 of them. Listen, you'll recognize. I don't think I've ever heard.
Yeah, send it to me.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard the woman speaking, but I've never
heard the woman.
Yeah, I've definitely heard the 2 guys.
They must be really busy. Like, they must have a lot of work to do, because I mean, the same guy will be doing it for like Discovery TV shows and all of that, and then movies, everything.
Yeah, like I said,
they got to be so busy.
Like on my end, my service, we have like 120, 130 stations, and I would say, getting back to what we were saying earlier about how much American music they play on the radio or whatever. A lot of these channels that I have are simply American channels turned into Polish. Like I have MTV, I have Comedy Central, I have HGTV, and on all those channels, it's just simply the Lektor, going over an American show or whatever, right? So they produce a ton of content. I have no idea how they do it.
I can't imagine what the studio's like. Right. I don't think they're sleeping there. Right. The one thing though, like about Lektor, I can't as much as like, you know, they're probably great people and stuff, I can't stand watching it
No.
with Lektor.
Well,
I
also-
can't, because like I was watching Family Guy the other night here, and you know, there's all these like, what is it with a voice inflection and inflection
Yeah,
or something,
yeah.
when, you know, voice goes
Raising and
going
lowering
high
your
to
voice,
low,
yeah.
there's- yeah, and there's like, there's laughing, there's all of this other stuff, and then the Lektor is just
Right.
you know.
Right.
So
Yeah, I think so. What I've noticed with the lecture in general is that if the underlying show is English, I can't, or if it's, especially if it's a show I've seen,
yeah.
I can't
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
But I've watched a couple movies where the underlying show was French, and no problem, I could understand the lecture. No
Wait, did
problem.
you say movies?
Films, movies, TV shows?
Was it the Viking one, the comedy?
No, I don't remember which movie. I definitely just remember it was another language they were speaking that wasn't English, and I was like, okay, I can actually hear him now.
Okay.
Right, when I'm watching something that's in English, like my brain is just desperately trying to lock on to the English.
Yeah, and then it's like, if it's a comedy,
Yeah.
it just doesn't. It's just not funny.
The one thing that I've noticed too, like you said, is, I mean, it's not the lecturer's fault, right? It's he's just simply
No,
reading. He's
of course
reading
not.
a script that the
Right.
translators have
Yeah.
translated, and I know, so like a lot of times, things will be, even when you can hear the English a little bit, there'll be like this long thing, and then he'll say like two words that summarize what he said. But because it's a comedy and every word matters in a comedy, it's just not funny. Regardless of his delivery, because they've simplified what they said in English down to something so basic, it's just not funny anymore. But have you, I guess maybe that's something we've gotten to now with our levels, because previously I just had no idea what the lecturer was saying, right? And now that I can understand him a little bit, it's like, okay, I can see the differences. I can see why a Polish person watching something who doesn't understand English would not laugh at that. I'm like, that's not funny.
Yeah.
What he's saying, he's stating the fact about what he said, but he's not, he's not saying anything funny. Do you watch anything with subtitles? Let me ask you this, because I'm pretty sure this, like, the Polish service I have here is like, an illegal service that somebody's rebroadcasting. I'm sure it's not officially sanctioned by Poland or whatever, right? So as a result, there's no subtitles on any, like, there's no features other than I'm simply getting the feed. Is Polish TV in general, does it have subtitles that you can turn on and off? No, like, not like how it is in America, right? Everything in America has English subtitles.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
like
no.
Okay, it's like a built-in feature to TVs over here that they have to support it.
Yeah.
And
I tried finding it
Yeah.
a long time ago here. I couldn't find it. So maybe they do, but I just couldn't find it on the remote, for example.
Right.
I don't know.
That's one of the things that, as a foreigner learning Polish, I would find super useful, is that more things had subtitles.
Yeah.
In Poland, Polish subtitles. I don't want English subtitles. I want Polish subtitles.
Yeah, it definitely helps. But I heard recently that like eventually maybe it's a good idea to like let the subtitles go.
Yeah.
So you can kind of maybe focus on the words better or something. I was coming across some forum and someone mentioned that. Maybe that's a good idea. I don't know. Maybe it'll help me.
Right.
For
I mean, I know
example,
here.
TVN.
Yeah. Go ahead.
TVN, like our subscription that we have for them, no subtitles. But I'm pretty sure that TVP VOD, VODs have subtitles. I'm pretty sure.
That's true. And it had newer episodes specifically, because I went back and I've watched like Emmiak Miłosz. I went back and watched the first episode once, and there was no subtitles on it. But newer episodes on VOD have subtitles there. You're absolutely right on that.
That's convenient.
Yeah.
That's convenient.
I mean, I know my wife here, we still have English subtitles sitting on our TV when we're watching American stuff. Not that she can't understand anything, but sometimes it's just, we're old people. Sometimes our ears aren't good, and it's just... Yeah, so I definitely use subtitles here. I've gotten used to my wife uses subtitles just to kind of help her out. And I've noticed, too, when we're watching, like like darker movies or whatever, where it's a lot of like like let's say like how Batman talks like in those movies and everything like that, right? And like dark gritty movies, I'll put subtitles on because half the time I'm like, and there's so much noise going on, I'm just like I can't hear what they're saying, right? And it just makes it more clear when they have English on. So she uses it for the same reason. But yeah, definitely Polish people, a request, we could use more Polish subtitles. I would say that.
Please.
One place I have definitely found Polish subtitles, and they're super useful. They're funny and useful. Is on music videos on YouTube.
Okay.
Right. So I've noticed a couple things. There's a lot of music on YouTube that has Polish subtitles, but there's some, like for example, like Weekend, their songs, they have the English translation of their songs playing across the bottom, right? And I'm sitting here watching.
Did it make sense at all?
No, I mean it does. It's better than like the direct translation of Lektor, right? It feels like it's been localized a little bit, but like it's a song, like the words don't match up with the music how they would, right? They're just kind of sitting down there, so But actually, in some of them, like Weekends, it's funny because like Weekend's videos, they have English lyric or subtitles, but they don't have the Polish ones. You can't select them because I was going through. This is a little challenge I had for you and Trev, or you and JT. We all three of us work out. We go to the gym sometimes, and when you're strength training, you usually take a few minutes in between sets or whatever to prepare for your next one. So what I sent you to a little video of is a good Polish exercise while you're during these rest periods, right? So I work out in my basement. Yeah, I have a TV up on the wall, and so I'm playing Polish music with the lyrics on the screen. And so whenever you hit a rest period, so I have 3 minutes in between sets, you've got to sing whatever lyrics are up on the screen at that point in Polish.
It's like a karaoke night for you every day, right?
It's workout with karaoke, right? What I did find indirectly I found it useful for is we brought up many times on this podcast about the ounds and the owns, right?
Yeah.
And not over pronunciating something. And I found because you're singing and you've got to move on to the next word, it definitely helps in helping you pronounce things more like a Polish person, right? Because you're trying to keep up with what somebody is singing, right? And you don't have time to slow down to overpronounce something. You have to say it how they're saying because you're singing the song. Yeah. And I think just in general, when you're singing a song, you really try to match what how the singer is singing. Even in America, even like I'm a terrible singer, but I'll go up to super high parts, when I'm listening to things, or go way down low or whatever, right? So you're trying to imitate how the Polish speaker or the singer in general is speaking. And so I think it's a good training for, pronunciation.
You know what we all need to do? We need to do a karaoke night.
We need to.
Okay, like disco polo, like everything, live stream it. I don't know. Right. Just drink a few beers and do a karaoke night with some disco polo or something.
I'm curious. Do they have karaoke bars in Poland?
I was wondering that too. Maybe if someone knows, they can let us know if anyone's listening.
If anybody watches this point of the video,
please let us know. But
I think that would be super fun. Yeah, I think we would be a huge hit. Could you imagine, like you, me, and JT, 3 foreigners walking into a karaoke bar and belting out these Polish classics? Yeah, I think we'd be a big hit.
Yeah, I could do it. I would just need a few beers, and like I'm good to go.
So what do you think about Polish music in general?
It's great. I mean, I really like it. I listen to mostly 80s music, actually. I'm kind of like a boomer, I think. And so, like, Lady Pang. I would have to, like, pull up my Spotify library. And there's, like, plenty of songs that I couldn't even tell you the name of the song or the artist, but I can sing it.
Right.
And, like, mostly 80 songs.
Yeah.
Probably 90s.
Yeah, I'm definitely the same way. There's a lot of songs where I've gotten to the point similar, like how some people are. I think I was the same way when I was a kid in America, where you know all the lyrics to the chorus, the main,
Yeah.
the chorus, but you don't know all the, like, and then the chorus.
Yeah.
That you
Right,
sing
right.
that part. Right? I think
Yeah,
I'm that
yeah.
way with a lot of those songs back, like Lady Pink and those kind of Gem and
Yeah.
those kind of songs.
Yeah. So mostly kind of that like doomer music, I think. But that's like, I mean, I listen to the occasional Disco Polo song. I mean, some of them I can sing.
You can't admit that. You can't say that you like Disco Polo. You can't admit that.
Oh yeah, never mind. Yeah, we're gonna get canceled. No. Yeah. Well, what's always interesting to me about people who say that. Oh, I don't like Disco Polo. I don't like it. It's every wedding, and
Every
everyone
party.
sings it to a T. Every party, every wedding, everyone sings it. Like
Yeah.
every note, everyone is singing it.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. They always try to say that, Disco Polo is like, country music in the U.S. and,
Right.
everyone hates it. Everyone hates it. I didn't even mind country music. I listened to a couple country songs.
Right. I think Disco Polo is better than
And-
country music myself, but that's why.
Yeah, I would agree. And I would agree. Yeah. But yeah, so Disco Polo, rap.
I mean, you've
rap
definitely done more than a few reaction videos on your channel, so you had
Yeah.
your taste of Polish music.
Yeah.
What was your initial introduction to Disco Polo? Let's say, because that's probably the most obvious genre that you probably remember at the beginning when you were hearing this kind of music.
Yeah. Well, I remember I think one day I was flipping through their TV, and then I saw that there was just an entire channel that was just like Disco Polo.
Right.
And that's when I was like, and it was like in the first 20 channels.
Right.
And I was like, wow, so this is really serious. I mean, just an entire channel dedicated.
Right.
And yeah, so I don't know, but I know that for example, I probably heard Accent at first. Most of those songs,
Boys
and then
stuff like that.
yeah, and it's always at New Year's, for example, the TV would be on. It's just mostly, well, not mostly, but a lot of Disco Polo.
It feels like if you come up with a Disco Polo hit, you have a job for life in Poland.
Yeah.
Even you only
what's
need
weird?
one hit.
You know what's a fun fact? You know, at the end of the year, you receive an email from Spotify.
I know where you're going with
use Spotify?
this. I know where you're going with this.
Yeah. So I received an email from Spotify at the end of the year that said I was in the 0.1% top listeners of Piękni, Młodzi, something like last year. And I was kind of thinking how? I mean, at one point I was listening to it every single day, many times a day, but I didn't think I was the number one basically fan.
Yeah. Similarly,
Piękni, Młodzi
they're awesome.
took that turned my depression around.
Right.
Okay, it turned my depression around.
I don't know if I've told you this story or not, online or offline. Did I tell you I almost had Piękni Młodzi perform at my birthday party?
No,
So-
you didn't.
So
I
when-
know they do them they do that private shows and stuff.
Yeah.
I know that.
So when I turned 40, I had my birthday in Białystok. I took a bunch of my, I know we've covered it before. I took a bunch of my friends and we went there. And my wife, as a birthday present, she tried to get Piękni Młodzi. And she got in contact with them. They told her the price, and it's like, okay, yeah, that's fine. And she's like, what's the date? And they were doing a concert somewhere else on that day that I was having my party. Otherwise, Piękni Młodzi would have been that would have been a crazy party.
That would be a cool night. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but
I'm sure
at
so
that
many
time,
people are listening to this right now just cringing that we're talking about
Right.
Disco Polo.
At the time, that was the band I was into.
Yeah.
Polish wise, I love those. There's those 3 or 4
There's
songs.
4 songs by them
Yeah.
I really like.
Did you know that the 2 of them were husband and wife and they're divorced now?
Yeah.
And now there's another.
there's
There's
a big
another guy in
fiasco
there.
and-
Yeah.
Oh, is there a new one?
And there's a new
I didn't know that.
Man, you haven't kept up
I'm
with
keeping all of that out of my mind and just sticking with happy thoughts of everything before then.
No, but like you with Spotify and like Apple Music or whatever, I get those lists at the end of the year where like here's your most listened to music, and like 90% of it is Polish music the past few years. Yeah.
I'm curious this year what it's going to be like. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I definitely find myself listening to it more. It's funny that you say you listen to 80s Polish music mostly, because my wife listens to 80s American music mostly when she's here. Like that's like when she's like wants to relax or be, she's like put on like the ballads from the 80s, right? That's the stuff she loves the most. Right. We try to bounce it out a little bit. I'm like, all right, at least give me like the rock ballads from from the 80s. Give me some Poison, right? I'm like, that's what I'll listen to. I've just, actually to kind of tie a few things we've talked about together, I discovered a lot of Polish music through watching the Voice of Poland on TV, because they get up to like those blind auditions. They get up there and they sing Polish songs. And then I'm like, oh, that's an interesting song, right?
Do they?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's plenty, as usual in Poland, there's plenty of people singing American songs, but there's a lot of people singing Polish songs as well.
Okay, maybe I haven't turned it on at the right time, but I've only heard them sing songs in English.
A lot of times, too, what the judges will do is sometimes they'll be like, okay, yeah, you sang this song in English. Can you sing in Polish as well? And then they don't show up on the YouTube clips or anything like that, but then they'll sing a second song in Polish.
Oh, okay.
But there's some of the stuff. I think that's how I discovered Gem specifically. There was a bunch of people as their blind auditions, they were singing this stuff, and I was like, this song sounds interesting. A lot of times they butcher those songs on the Voice of Poland, and then you go listen to the real stuff, and I'm like, okay, this is this is good music. I think Polish media, just kind of wrap it all up. I think it's decent. I think a lot of it would be interesting even to foreigners. So like we were saying before, some of it is very specific to Polish culture, and even people like you and I who have an interest in Polish culture is still kind of lost on us because we didn't grow up during those times. But I think their movies are very good. I think a lot of their media is a little dark for me. I tend to be a more, upbeat than cheery person. And like, there's a lot of movies, about like their history, about the war, which I find those interesting. But there's just a lot of dark movies in general. I find that too, just one more area of media is video games. I try to find video games that are in Polish, to help with that studying, and like all these games,
Witcher,
they're all like M-rated, lots of blood and everything like that. And I'm like, man, I don't want to be depressed right now while I'm trying to learn Polish, If I could change one thing about Poland, that would be it. Maybe not so much dark material that you're putting out there.
Make some Nintendo
right, or maybe get Nintendo to make some games actually in Polish.
Imagine if they had like a Polish like Mario. It'd be like Yawn or something.
It was like you said. I've tried playing The Witcher, and it's a little bit complicated for me language wise.
Never played it.
But then I saw what was it last year? Cyberpunk was coming out. And I was just watching the trailers and everything. I'm like, maybe this will be a game I'm interested in, and just watching all this stuff. I'm like, yeah, this is typical Polish, type of material. I'm like, I don't know, maybe, it's fine that it exists. It's just not for me personally,
I think I would have loved that game, but I waited to see what the release was like. And then everyone was saying, you have to have the highest tier console to even use it, or graphics card. Yeah. And then also there was just so many errors and bugs that they just had to keep covering up. They had a disaster of a release.
Yeah, I was looking at that one because my son and I had just built a brand new computer, and I was like, okay, I need the latest release to see how it runs or whatever. But I passed on it for now. Maybe I'll get to it someday. But Polish media, it's pretty cool. And if I don't know why anybody who's not Polish or interested in Polish culture would be watching this podcast, but if you are, for some strange reason, you've made it to this podcast and you've made it to this part of the video, I highly recommend you check out some Polish material, on Netflix or at Spotify or Apple Music or whatever. It's all cool stuff.
Or if you want to recommend a song or video, let us know in the comment section down below.
From when we do our Polish karaoke night for us to sing.
Yeah. Maybe we can get some like a full community post or something, and like they can just give us the top songs they want.
Definitely.
To see or
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But anyways, guys, that's gonna be it for this episode. Dziękuję I do widzenia.